Okay, it's the middle of the night. We're gonna do a little painting in our gouache sketchbook, and Giorgio's already asleep. He's sick of us. He's really tired of me. He's ready to go to bed, but he won't go to bed until I go to bed, which means we got to get this painting done. So tonight our model is, here we go. We'll just show you. This is Jessica. She's from Sao Paulo, Sao Paulo. And I just want to pull it out. So this is our little sketchbook that we do all of our gouache work in. Hello, Lisa. And some other pieces that we've done in the past. We've got a bunch of different portraits in here. One day we'll actually sit down and go through all of them so you can see everybody. But here's a chicken. Some squirrel berries. Cute. Yeah. If you ever like, I wonder what it'd be like to be painted, you can send me a picture of yourself, your loved one, your little pet. These were 3-minute, 5-minute, 5-minute sketches that we did. So you can do it. Just push yourself. Some of these I sell prints of, so you can purchase the artwork in either sticker format or a little printout. Here's like the bare bones of a painting, what it looks like before we get really into it. Little pug, little baby pug. You're just getting a mini sketchbook tour, you know what I mean? Just a little one, a baby one. Playing with some chalk pastels here. Just little chalky pastels. But I really liked the colors that were happening. I don't remember where that was. And I just like want to point out that not every painting turns out, you know? Sometimes we run out of time. Sometimes we just don't want to finish it. But here is a painting of, I'm gonna butcher the name. Michaen from Johannesburg, South Africa. And here's Kayla from Boonville, North Carolina. I went out for coffee with a friend and started painting the cafe. It's a theme. And here's a painting we're going to do big scale. This will be a large scale painting. It just hasn't happened yet. So that's really fun. This is my friend Ramon, who I saw at a cafe recently. We got together after I saw him at 2 cafes. And this is Sanja, who we painted the other day. We're just kind of getting through a bunch of portraits to build our skill and build our, I don't know, like trusting in ourselves, you know what I mean? And sometimes all it takes is just trusting in yourself to really feel confident, like you're doing everything that you can do within your powers to be amazing. And sometimes we forget that. So these types of practices are really healthy to help us remember our inner glow, that charm, that ability. And tonight we're using some Turner gouache. What time is it for you? It is 2:14 in the morning for me. I'm just, to be honest, my car had an issue during the day and that sent me into a sleep. I literally just went home and slept. It was Sunday, so I couldn't take my car in to get fixed. And so now here we are at 2 a.m. awake, very much awake. Okay, so here we have our Turner gouache. These are the colors. They're all in this bag right here in case we need some extras of anything. I tend to run out of white, but we are going to use them and mix them up. Notice the yellow is getting kind of gross. I'm going to have to clean this out pretty soon. But I also have a backup secondary palette of Himi gouache. And the Himi gouache, I think we just cleaned this out and got it sort of, hello there. we got it sort of fixed up and refilled. So it looks a little bit cleaner. Look at that yellow. The yellow is so clean. All right. We can use either or palettes. I'm feeling like I want to use more of, oh, let's go ahead and use the Himi Gouache. These are just two different whites, like two different bins of the same pigment. And it's actually Turner Gouache, because I think I used up the Himi Gouache. I did order an extra thing of Himi, and it came in this really cool little tube container. So, like a little baggie, like a little bag of gouache. So they come in these like containers, and one of them is an acrylic gouache, because I made the fun mistake of just getting the first thing that I saw that looked like the thing we needed. It wasn't it. But this one's the regular gouache. So this is water activated. Gouache is water activated. You can reactivate it like watercolor. I really enjoy that. And the acrylic has a very sheen to it when it dries versus your regular gouache is not going to be like that. I forgot about these. So now we can refill our palette. Ugh. Okay. A little bit. Hopefully it's still good. Oh yeah, that's some good gouache right there. I do tend to use this a lot to tint the colors and also just to add in a little highlight or a little white space. And these are all, Himi and Maya gouache are all made in the same factory. So it's just branding, really. But you can get one package like this of the refill for, I think it's like $5 or $6, something like that. That's not a bad deal. You get this big old thing of, especially for the colors that you use a lot, versus, and we'll get into the painting in a second, but like this is Turner Gouache. The Turner Gouache tube costs, I want to say $8 to $9, depending. And so look at that little big size difference. This is way more economical, especially if you paint a lot. You can end up just getting these packets of gouache instead of getting the little tubes. You know, figure out what works for you. Okay, so we're going to do this little sketch painting of Jessica. I have my little container that I store. It's a teapot, but I put distilled water in there. We need a little cup for our paint. Water. A little cups. I usually use 2 cups for the water. One that is for like a second washing. Oh, hello. I think it's time to get more water. That's what that told me. One that's for a second rinse, so it's like a clean cup. And then one that's for that first rinse, where it's like all really dirty and gross. Okay, I'll be back in a flash. We need more water. And make sure you get your water to drink too. So if you're not drinking water, grab some. Thank you so much, Elena, for this beautiful cup. Alex, my friend Alex, purchased it for me, so thank you for the gift. I'm going to fill my cup up. Get your cup. You need water. You need to drink something. And then we're going to paint. Okay. We're back. Did you get your water? Drink it. Take a sip. Cheers. I got some more water for our paint cups. All right. I like to use a little clip, binder clip, to hold back the other pages. We'll just stick that in there. And then I really enjoy the whole process of mixing and getting the colors right to the point where we really enjoy how they look. So I will just tilt our camera for you so you can see it on the TikTok live. Right now we're on live on YouTube and on TikTok. Join us, hang out with us, submit your face if you'd like to. Up to you. All right, and the last thing that we need is some type of towel to wipe extra water and pigment off on. So here is our really beautiful washcloth that, you know, when you retire your body cloths, you got to use it for something. So I'll just set that down, and sometimes we'll go back and forth and into it. And the very last thing we need. With gouache paint, we're going to use watercolor paintbrushes. So here we have a little selection of paintbrushes, and I'll pull 2 of them out, maybe 3, something with a little bit more girth. So we have our Winsor & Newton Cotman, size 6. Size 6 is a good size for me with these portraits. And then something with a little bit more detail, Gray Matters from Jack Richardson. These are really nice brushes I got when I went to a class taught by Hector Acuna, who's a really amazing plein air painter. There's other kinds of paintings too, but a couple sets, and this is a 1/4 inch flat. Let's start out with the 1/4 inch flat. I haven't used it. And my paint palette is filthy, and that's how I like it. Okay. Just like that. Oh, and I should probably pull up a bigger image of the person we're painting, of Jessica. I did toss the image into Photoshop just so that we could get a clean, a little bit brighter image. It's a little bit dark, just a little bit dark, but that's okay because the background is so well lit. So it makes her kind of fall away just a little bit. Okay. Now we're just gonna lose ourselves in the painting situation. I've got a little water bottle here. We can spray the pigments just if they're getting a little sticky. That is the thing about Himi Gouache, is it is a more affordable brand, so it's not as high quality. The higher quality of the gouache that you get, the less of that stickiness you'll experience. All right, and this is just like what we're doing because I can't sleep. What do you do when you can't sleep? Some people will force themselves to go to sleep, but I just can't do that. Okay. And the YouTube chat is up also, so on my computer, so I can see if anybody says anything. Nobody's in there right now, which is okay, but one day, one of these days, we'll have more people. If you're on TikTok right now following and you enjoy the ambiance that we create, go ahead and give us a follow over on the tube. Ellie liked the live. Hello, Ellie. Welcome. What time is it for you? Are you just like a night owl? We're being mindful of the lighting in this picture. And we're gonna go in for a base up here. We've got Giorgio taking a nap underneath the table. Trusty sidekick. He has a camera pointed at him in case you're curious. So you could live stream watch Giorgio while he's resting underneath the table while we're painting as well. Okay. We're just playing with the mix and kind of reactivating some of these pigments and finding the midtones and where we want to be. And it might be wonky. I haven't really been painting lately, so this is a good practice. If you were on live the other night, you probably watched as we painted Han on a bigger canvas. And so that was the most recent painting that I did. But it is true, like if you don't practice and keep up with something, your confidence level goes down, which I think your confidence level is a lot of your success. The more confident you are, the more successful you tend to be. The more risks you may take, and the more risk that you take, the more that they tend to pay off. we've been doing more landscapey things as well, so we don't have as much of the skin tones in here. We can start kind of building up to get the right colors for the painting. If we're going to do a black, we can do a little bit of blue just to kind of highlight that. We're going to leave a little bit of space for this hand. And this paper isn't really made for watercolor, but we don't care. It's okay. It's just a thicker sketchbook, so you can do kind of like a little bit of mixed media, but you have to be careful, or else you'll get a little bit of pilling or pulling from the paper. It starts to warp on you. If we had thicker paper, I might spray a little bit of the area down before I start adding the pigment. But this will do. And this is the Prussian blue. That we'll use just to pretend that it's a nice dark black here. Look at that value. And the way that I positioned it, we might lose a little bit of the other leg. That is one skill that I really need to work on. It's good to know these things about yourself. What are the things that you're really strong at, and what are the things that you have to work on? One of the things I really need to work on is proportions. And when I lay stuff down, when I lay my, ooh, what's the word? It's evading me. Figuring out the word. The word that means, you know what the word is. I know you know it. Composition, thank you. You knew it. The composition of the painting, I need to think ahead. And I think that that's like a skill that you gain as you work in painting more, in drawing and things like that. So I'm not too harsh on myself, but I do notice it. Like with this one. Darn. We are only gonna get one leg in. But that's okay. We'll be alright. Okay. Let's get that other arm placed in. Let's do both arms. Let's go for two arms. We can do 2 arms. And a little like purple pink action happening, and then we'll mix it with a little bit of orange. Just a little bit. Oh, maybe that's what we did. We didn't pull the piece over enough. Okay, we'll get there. Everything is happening in its own time frame. Ooh, get out of there. How's George doing down there? He's just a sweet little baby. Georgie was so tired. Putting just a little bit more blue in to give us this edge. I have 2 different cups of white in my palette so that I have one for cool tones and one for warm tones. Then that way I don't have as much muddy look happening. And it's been a pretty successful strategy to keep your paints clean. It's not foolproof, but it does help. The paint has thickened. I've added a little less water. But also, like on this image, our model is Jessica, and she's kind of in a shadow. So, kind of, we have to work around that shadow that's happening. I really enjoy gouache. I love how it reactivates. That's probably the coolest thing about it. It reactivates and it's pretty lenient. You know, if you make a mistake or you don't like something, you can do stuff. You can work with it. But it's not going to be quite as well defined when you go over it again as acrylic. So keep that in mind if you ever decide to create your own little pieces of artwork with gouache. And you can paint really big with it. It doesn't have to be little, but I have personally not experienced that side of gouache yet. You know, one day, perhaps, we'll be able to do that. And if you wanted to create something bigger, then you would just want to get a either watercolor ground for a canvas, or you can use watercolor paper. And you really treat it like a watercolor, and then you can add and build and grow from where you've started. I like all the texture. That's something you can't get with every medium. Just trying to make sure that we get the right angles here. And the skin tone we got with some of that violet, the purple, a little bit of our magenta, and a little orange. And then we just play with the mixture until we get exactly the vibrancy that we want. Hi, Hannah B. What are we painting? We are painting a little portrait of Jessica. Jessica lives in Brazil and sent this picture of themselves. I've been feeling out of practice, so this is a good way to get in touch with our inner creative self. And we're using gouache paint. If you aren't familiar with gouache, it's a more opaque watercolor that works really nicely. You can almost treat it like acrylic, but it has more watercolor personality traits to it too. Of course, you can treat acrylic like it's watercolor as well, but you're not going to ever, it still has like more graininess to it, like a texture when you water it down. Because as you water down acrylic, you're kind of deconstructing the paint. But with gouache, it is water-based. It's just got a thicker, they don't grind the pigment down so much. It's got a little bit thicker of a pigment, which means you can make opaque parts in your paintings. And even though we started out really thin with our medium, we can make it really thick. We can build it up. And this is just like a sketchbook practice. It's not one of the Garden of a Thousand Faces portraits. helping us learn and understand a little bit more about color theory, color mixing. A little does go a really long way, which I forgot last night. I had a class that I taught where we turned the lights out and we were painting in red light, which is super fun. If you've never done that, try it. I highly recommend it. And also, these pigments aren't super expensive. Like, you can get them. I have a link in my Amazon storefront if you wanted to purchase your own or like look into it. But they're, I want to say like $45 for a full set of the gouache, which come, oops, in a container like this. They come in this little container like this. And these are the Hemi gouache, but I also use Turner gouache, Turner Design gouache, which is a different brand. And you might have seen these like online, you know. These are ones that YouTubers like to review. Mine are a little crusty and dried out because I don't often open the container up. But I did the other day. We refilled our gouaches. They're really nice. And I've had this, like, I've literally had this container of paint and I've been using it regularly for the past 3 years. So, you know, like you said, a little goes a very long way. And I got this little container, which is also in my storefront, so you can find it. The little airtight containers, they're really handy. I think this one is $12 and this one is $15, something like that. The bigger one is $15. And it's so handy. You can put all the pigments in there. If you want, you could, if you use black paint, then you can use instead of the white another black, but I just put 2 whites because the Prussian blue, this blue right here, Prussian blue is very dark, so it works well enough to be almost like a black pigment. Just depends on how you like to paint. We've got a lot of the painting already constructed, so we just have to kind of add this ghost leg and then get into the face. And then we can do little details, and I like to do the little details with some Prismacolor colored pencils. So I've got my Prismacolors here. You might just do that. It's good to add texture in afterwards. Okay. Get back into the colors that we were already developing. And if you check in via YouTube, you can let me know how Giorgio's doing. I can't see him, but he's underneath the table. He doesn't like going to sleep without me. He's a sweet baby. So once we're done with this, we are going to actually get some sleep. I have to take my car into the shop tomorrow. I have no idea what happened, but it had like an electrical fit and told me to service engine. It's a terrible thing to have to deal with. But there's worse things in life to have to go through, you know. So we'll take care of that tomorrow. And then I'm gonna meet with a friend of mine as well. So I'm gonna get to do a little art at a cafe and just talk about the cool things in our city that are happening. Let's see. If you get that red scarf. I rarely use this. I don't use a lot of red. It seems like one of the less picked up colors. We'll go into this dark red as well, like a crimson, scarlet and a crimson. We're getting close to a good time to pull out a different brush. Let's mix just a little bit of that Prussian blue with our orange pigment. And we should get a green. Okay, hold on. All we need now is to put some of that red that we just put together in there. And we'll get a nice mocha brown. And then we can come in and give her some curls. She's got very much a lot of body in her hair. We'll do a couple layers of colors. This is like a darker value that we'll use. And this was just like a really quick painting, right? Like it didn't take very much time, but we got a lot of that detail established still. We need to go darker on this leg back here. And we can make this boot a little bigger too while we're down here working. This whole time we've only used one brush. I love a good flat brush. Flat brushes are one of my very favorite to use. They're versatile. You can use them either with their very fine side or their very wide side and give you a lot of versatility out of one brush. But they are limited because I want to get a little more detail, so we're going to pull a different brush out. Now, this is a size 4 round brush, still from the Gray Matters Jack Richardson brand. And it just has a very fine point that we can get a little bit more of that detail from the brush here. Okay. Let's make a very nice sort of a shadow tone that we can put in. She's got these really fun glasses. And then we'll have features underneath. So we'll just like stick the features in now so we know where they're going to be. You see how quick we're just adding that in? We're going to come back in with a darker value as well with a different color to really emphasize these lines. It's not perfect. It's just kind of a resemblance of Jessica, but it isn't going to look exactly like her. And it might look exactly like someone else. Who knows? We pulled some of that pure white. We'll use that and mix it in. This over here is kind of like a green blue, just so it's not pure white. Giorgio's still so sleepy. Ooh, you know what? That color would be really cute actually also, just as little accents and curls up here. And then let's go in with a darker, maybe a little bit of like purple mixed with that blue to define some of these features. And then I think that we just need a little bit darker of a value here to push that face forward. And define some of her features. Cassandra, Mama Cass, thank you so much. Thanks for staying high in the live. It's like the little tiny details that make someone's likeness. And I've asked this before, like we did a journaling prompt once and asked like how important is likeness? Do we need someone to look exactly like the image? And the answer is no. You know, they don't have to look exactly like it. There can be some style, some wiggle room. But I think each artist has to figure out for themselves like what that means and what does that look like. Because right now her complexion, maybe it's the lighting, you know, her complexion is a little bit fair compared to her complexion in the picture. So we'll make sure that we got that kind of under wraps before we move forward. But I do enjoy this. I really like this painting. It's fun. Maybe some of these little details can get defined a little bit more too. We'll jump in. It's like a gray, but I think that helps, right? Just a little bit of something to push. And then Jessica has a bunch of tattoos. I like tattoos in like a blue typically. I think they stand out really well with blue. So let's do a little bit of blue. We've got like a flower pot, it looks like. Flower pot, there we go. My plan is working. I'm starting to get tired. Oh, great. That's what happens when you take day naps. Oh, you know what? We could have kept that color. Let's get this little Apple Watch in. I think it looks pretty good. The fishnets, those need to go in too. This arm is really dark. Maybe we can darken the rest of it as well. But let's see, before I do that, let's just see if maybe we can pull a little bit of that pigment out. We don't have to do as extreme of a change. And that's like the fun of gouache, right? It's malleable. It's not there forever. Just put a little bit of water down. But then when you're done with the paste, you can coat your painting once it's fully dried in a little bit of a wax sealant, and that will hold it there and you don't have to worry about your image, your painting moving around on you. This might be too dark. Hold on. Mix it up. I'm not a fan of the color we used right there, so we're going to just pull that. And come back over it again. Sometimes you have to work areas. That's okay. It's too bad that it's on the face. But we have such a little tiny brush that we can get into it. Okay, now we can kind of pull a little bit up in our value so it doesn't have to be so dark. You can give a little bit of highlight. And for that, I'm just going to grab a little bit of yellow, a little bit of that peach that's under there, and mix it together. Because they've got a little bit warmer of a glow, and we don't want to lose that warmth, so we're just going to work with it here. We're going to redefine this face just a little bit. You can't overwork gouache. You can overwork it, so you have to be careful not to, I should say. And I may have overworked it just a little bit, but that's okay. When there is a will, there is a way, and we will figure this out. I feel like the nose needs to just come over just a bit. Another thing is that we know we're gonna add in some colored pencil still. So that could be the saving grace for this portrait. Okay, I'm gonna pause, let that dry. Let's get our colored pencils out and we'll get those fishnets in I don't trust myself with the paintbrush to do the fishnets right now. Not at 3 a.m. Here is our white pigment. Grab that out for the fishnet. And I'll get, this is a gray. 10% French gray. Ooh, this is a warm gray, actually. I like that. Ooh, this is a very light green. I'll just stick with what we got. I think these grays will do what we want. And I have a little pencil sharpener we can use. Okay. So, colored pencils rock. I love them so much. And they're very versatile. You can do a lot with them. I was inspired to get colored pencils because my friend on TikTok actually has some. He's an awesome TikToker, but also an awesome artist. His name is Tevin Drake. And he does like the beautiful drawings of flowers. So he used to do only portraits until he started to do flowers. And now he also does like, he's a big car guy. So sometimes he'll do car parts, or what else was, he did a little series on, hello. He did a little series of chess pieces. He's a chess player, it seems like. Although, Tevin, if you ever see this, I will beat you in chess. I have made many people upset by how badly I have whomped them. And they thought they were unwhompable. No, you're not. Okay. This is really a study right now to be precise. I didn't like that dark gray. It was a little too dark for this piece that we're doing right now. And the white was good for like the highlight areas, but then other areas just is too bright for. So we definitely needed a couple different pencils to make it work. Okay, we have fishnets. Officially now we have the fishnet. I think the fishnets, they turned out much better. Yes. Okay, we just need to come in and give a couple little TC highlights. And then I could do this with paint too, but throw in a little bit of a highlight here. Oh, we should do this one with paint though. A little bit of a highlight here. Just needed to be like a little bit lighter, like just enough to get a sheen. We do want to come in and fix her face, okay? Fix her face just a little bit. There is an intense difference in values. I'll show you a little closer up. We need to make sure that we fix that, okay? We're not going to bed until we have fixed this. Oh, much better. I feel like even this, it's like the slightest little tiny bit of a detail. It doesn't need to be perfect, it just has to be good. She has such a cute little nose. We want to make sure. She's well represented, yay. Part of it is like the smile just can come up a little bit as well. Okay, I think that's good. I like it. I do. We didn't put the words on there. Melambe. We should put that, eh? But we'll do it with some colored pencils instead of the paint job for this. Cute. It's adorable. Make sure we have a lot of detail here. I love it. I love it. Okay, it's like bedtime. It's 3:20 in the morning. Oh, you know what we definitely totally just blanked on? This really cool chain. We did much improve what we had going on before. Here's where we can use that dark gray. Right, just a little something. And now we can pull in our 10%. And then we can just do this other chain that's a little thicker. And then we can do a little star action at the ends. For this, we want it to be super sharp. The black wing sharpener is awesome. You use the small hole first, and then you go into the bigger one, and it gives you a very fine point. I think Giorgio's ready to go to bed. Let's try making little stars. It's so cute. I love it. She's adorable. Okay. Just make sure we get that highlight really pop in here. And then we'll write her name as well as one does. I think we should go in with the red. Maybe a little more water. Jessica. Jessica. And let me put her city. Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo. Brazil. A little messy. We could have done that with a little colored pencil, you know. But it's done. 'Tis done. I love it. turned out great. She's really cute. She's got a little attitude. She's got a little fishnet stockings going on and the thick, chunky boots. I love it. All right, y'all. Go to bed. I'll see you later. It's 3:30 in the morning, 3:26 to be exact here. But we got one full little baby portrait done. Just a fun little something study. And I hope that you get a lot of rest, and I hope that you do a little bit of painting. All right, love you all. See you later.